Hello there, I'm Ryan Liberty, and in this video I'm going to answer the question, what are triggers? Bing, 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 bing. I wish they were that simple to spot. Let's find out what they are. Ooh, ah. Okay, so we're ready. Let's find out what triggers are. I will explain what they feel like in a minute or two here, but I just want to get to what do we call these things? What are triggers? So a trigger is a reminder of a traumatic event. It can be physical, even like a sensation. Like it could be feeling like the hair on your neck stand up, or maybe a pain in your elbow. It could be anything like that. It could be a mental trigger. It could be a thought that you have. Could be emotional, and very often a trigger is symbolic. And a trigger, again, is linking back to a traumatic event. So something that's happened in your past. So a quick example would be as if you were to get into a car crash and you heard a car horn honk, and all of a sudden you lit up, you got very alert, you got very anxious, intense, distress. And it was because the car horn was a reminder back to when you went through this traumatic event that was very distressing for you. Now, a trigger often leads to what's known as dissociative flashbacks. So those are when you relive that experience. So in the case of a car crash, you're back there. You feel like you're there, and you experience it in your body as though you're there. Sometimes you may have visions of seeing yourself there. You may have the thoughts that were running through your mind at the time go running through your mind again. So it's just a re-experiencing of that event. And for children, they may not necessarily re-experience it, and we may not see it in the same way that we do in adults. Children sometimes will relive that experience through playing and kind of verbalizing it in the way that they play with others. A trigger leads to intense stress, as I mentioned before, because we're reliving that horrifying traumatic event. And these flashbacks that you experience with the trigger range in time. So they could be, you could freak out for 2 seconds, or it could be a prolonged week-long thing where you're so upset that you just lose touch with reality. And that's something else I want to get to, is that there's a range in reality. So it could be that you lose touch with reality completely, like you're so immersed in that flashback that you can't even recognize what's going on around you. Or it could be that you just have a simple thought or a feeling, something very brief and quick. So a trigger leads to very different experiences, but there's always that intense stress that comes along with them. So what does it feel like to be triggered, to have a trigger? In the body, we experience a trigger as all the symptoms of anxiety, because it's a high stress situation. So anxiety symptoms like sweaty palms, sweating in general, hot feet, cold hands, tingling, shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat, all those kinds of things. And I have a video on anxiety if you want to learn more about what those symptoms are. In our brain, we have trouble concentrating very often while we're triggered. And again, those negative thoughts typically come in. We're not having a happy moment when we're in a trigger. So a lot of the times we're fearing something, or we're angry at something, and a lot of these negative thoughts come spinning through our head. Emotionally, we are afraid. We feel this intense stress, and we get afraid of the flashback, the memory of what happened to us. We feel a lot of anger, and sometimes with all of that comes shame from either believing that we were the cause of the traumatic event, or just an embarrassment from all the things that we do while we're triggered. And speaking of the things that we do behaviorally, we often have things like outbursts. We may get snippy at people. We may try to manage the situation because we're so afraid and we think that it's overtaking us that we try to finagle in any way we can to get to safety by changing the environment or changing the people around us. And again, we may avoid the situation altogether if that's possible to avoid being triggered. So that's just a quick little overview of what it is to be triggered, what a trigger is. I hope that's helped you in learning about mental health, and I hope I've pictured a good human, broad experience of what it is. So thank you for joining me here to learn. Hey, it's Ryan Liberty. If you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and leave any questions or comments down below because that would really help me out. If you're somebody who's gone through a traumatic event and you're feeling cut off from the people around you, I have a free course that will help with that, so please click to get it. And if you'd like to see the rest of my videos, please click subscribe. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.